Hi everyone, and welcome back to Stamp with Anna, and today I have the third card from my card class this past weekend, which was my last card class while I take a little break for the summertime. I will keep posting, but I'm just not going to be holding classes. So the theme of our class was pop-up cards, and on Monday I showed you this one here made with the Sweet as a Peach collection, and this pops up like this, and it's just kind of like a wow card. I love that one. And yesterday I posted this butterfly one. This uses the Butterfly Brilliance stamps, the Butterfly Wings die cuts. And this one pops open and two butterflies fly out at you. That is just so sweet. I love that. And that uses all of the in colors, the new in colors. And today's one uses the Plentiful Plants suite. And this one here, when you open it up, it has a little bench that has flower pots on it. And I hope you can get that effect on the camera. I don't know. There you go. I think you can see that. So when you're looking at it, it's like a little ledge with pots on it. And I'm going to put that aside for a sec. The stamp set is Plentiful Plants, and the die set is Perfect Plants. And I couldn't use stamped images because it was a card kit, and it's against Stampin' Up! Policy for me to sell stamped images. So I used all of the dies, the die cuts. But you can see these are all distinctive stamps, so they have the nice shading to them, and they have a die for this, all of 3 pots, this foliage, and this one here. So it's got lots of dies. I am going to use some of the sentiments on today's card, but I want to show you, part of the suite is the Bloom Where You Are Planted designer series paper, and 3 of the dies that come in this set die cut the pots. So that's what I used in my card. Because I couldn't stamp those pots for my customers, we used the die cuts, and that's how we were able to get that effect. So this paper package has some really, really great papers to it. And of course, they're all double-sided. So you have this one with the pots, and it has this nice background. Then you have this one here with plants in the pots, and it has a nice wood background. Here's some foliage, and the background of that is like a light brick. Here, I love the colors on this. This is just gorgeous. And the back of that is a wood grain. Then you have some darker green foliage, and the back of that is this nice brown brick. Then you have this pattern here, which is good for borders, and you have like a cement. So this is a great, great card paper pack. But I've also used on my cards the In Good Taste paper because I wanted to give it this nice background there, a nice stone background. I am going to use a different pattern from that same paper pack, which is a chevron brick, but it's pretty much going to be the same. So what I have for my card base is a piece of smoky slate. It's cut 4 by 11, scored at 5.5. That's my base. Then my little mechanism, I'm going to show you piece by piece what the measurements are. This is cut at 2.5 by 4.25. So that's going to go right here. So you can see the 4.25 is the same size. We have to make score marks in this paper. Okay? So I'm going to bring in my scoreboard. And with the 3.5 side paper up at the top, I'm going to score at 3/4, 1.5, 2 1/4, and 3. So now I have these 4 score lines. And again, those measurements are, the paper is 3.5 by 4 1/4. With the 3.5 side along the top of your scoreboard, you're going to score at 3/4, 1.5, 2 1/4, and 3. I'm going to take all of these pieces and we are going to fold them. I'm going to make a little box, and that's where the pop-up will be. Now you notice one of these pieces is smaller. That is going to get tucked in right there, okay? So what we're going to do, we're going to use some tear tape because we want a nice secure adhesion. So on that little small one right there, we're going to just run a piece of tear tape, okay? Now when our box folds, this is going to go in the back, and so we need to attach the back and the bottom end to our card. So again, with the small piece on top, we're going to take some tear tape and we are going to apply that to this next section, okay? Top and bottom of the score mark, okay? Because we want it to stick really good, okay? We're going to skip the next 2 sections and we're going to apply tear tape to the bottom section, okay? And again, it's at the top and at the bottom of that section because we want it to be nice and adhered, okay? Before we do any of our folding here, we're going to add some strips of paper, and I have 2 little strips of paper which are the same. Let me show you how I did this. This was a piece of 4 by 5.5 piece of paper, right? So I cut this one at 4 by 4.5. Then I was left with this 1-inch piece of cardstock, and I cut that into 2 strips. So these 2 strips are 4 by 1/2. Okay, but I did make it all from one piece so that I saved myself some paper. Okay, so again, I had a piece of paper that was cut 4 by 5.5. I cut this top piece 4 by 4.5 and put that aside, and I was left with this piece that is 4 by 1. And I simply cut that in half to make 2 pieces that are 4 by 1/2. Okay? And those pieces are going to go into these middle pieces right here. So I'm going to take my snail. I ran out of my Stampin' Seal again. Seems like I'm always running out of that. So I'm going to attach that. And there is a little border on that. I'm going to add that right in the middle there. And my other piece, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to attach that here. Okay, so now my ledge is nice and decorated. So now we have this small little piece here, right? I'm going to remove the backing on my adhesive, and I'm going to fold this down like this. And the way that I can make sure it's lined up straight is just bring this piece over to it and press. Okay, so now I have a box. All right, and this is the top of the box and this is the bottom of the box. So now I have to remove all of these adhesive strips so that I can attach it to my card base. And if you have any left over on the sides, just tuck them back up. I mean, you could use liquid glue if you wanted. You could use a tape runner if you wanted. But because it's a fold card and it's going to be open and closed, I thought that it needed some good strong adhesive. And that's why I chose to use the tear tape. So now this needs to be attached in the center, into the middle of my card. And again, it's 4.5, so it's going to fit perfectly from side to side. And then I just want to make sure that it butts up to that score line. So there it is, it's attached on the bottom. All right. And now I'm going to bring the top down. And when I open it, there is my little ledge, my stone ledge. Okay, isn't that cute? So now I have a piece of basic white, and that is cut at 4 by 4.5, I believe. Hold on one sec. 4 by 4.5, and I'm going to stamp on that. I'm going to use Smoky Slate, and I'm going to use the sentiment that says a little note with the biggest thanks, and it is photopolymer, so I'm going to bring in my Pierce mat, and I'm going to just drop that straight down, straight up. I'm going to attach that to the bottom of my card. Okay, and there is a little border around all of it. Okay, and then I have another piece of the designer series paper, and this is 4 by 4.5. This is the one that I cut the little strips from, and I'm going to attach that to the top part of my card. And again, there is a little border. Okay. Now, we're going to do the front of our card before we get to our little pots. So, here's my little bucket of die cuts that everybody had in class. And I also had a little piece of linen thread. So, I'm going to take care of my linen thread first. I have a macrame pot holder, and I have my linen thread. And this is probably about 6 inches long, and I've folded it in half. Now I'm going to take this folded edge, and I'm going to run it through the hole of my die cut. And this die cut is in die cut in crumb cake. And then I have my loop right there. I'm going to take my 2 tails and run it through my loop. And I'm going to give it a little tug, not too much of a tug, just a little tug. And that is going to go right here, okay? Now, before I do anything with that, I want to build up my pot here. So with the one of the little pot dies, I cut out this one here, and it's going to go behind this pot here. So I'm going to turn this over, and with my glue pen, I'm going to use my silicone pad so I don't get adhesive all over my workstation. And I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive along the bottom part of my macrame holder. And then again, I'm going to turn this around. I'm going to center it where I want it to be, and I'm going to pop it in there. Okay? And there's my basket. Now I want to put in the ferns. Now, this fern was cut using the Forever Flourishing dies that coordinate with the Forever Fern. Now, if I could have stamped this one and die cut it out, but I liked this one because the ferns have all this space through them, so that I can position this as if it's hanging through this pot. So what I'm going to do is just pop this in here and then weave it out the other side. Okay, and then just adjust it until I like the way it looks. Okay, and I think I like that. And again, I could have used the stamp and the die from this stamp set here, but this is how we did it at class because I couldn't use the stamps for class. So now that that's in, I need to do some arranging. And this is where I'm going to decide. We are going to go back and glue this, but right now we're just going to decide where we want this. So we have this string, and we can have it as high as we want, as low as we want, in the center, off to the right, the left. I'm going to just take it like this, and I'm going to have a little bit of this leaf here stick out. Okay, so that's where I'm going to hang mine. I'm going to take this, flip it over, and right along the top, I'm going to add some adhesive and then bring my linen thread over and adhere it. Okay, with my scissors, I'm going to cut the excess off because I don't want it to be too bulky. And then I'm going to turn it over. And now that I have it, I'm going to attach some more adhesive to my planter, to my foliage, and I'm just going to bring this down, and there we have that. Okay, now I can attach this to the front of my card. Now I have a little tag that I've die cut using the Stitched Shapes rectangles, and I've cut it, I've used a scrap piece of basic white, and I'm going to ink up the thank you stamp with my Smoky Slate ink, and I'm going to just drop that straight down, straight up. And I'm going to attach that to my card front. And I'm going to drop that right here. Now, all we have to do is put our pots together on the inside. And here are all of my pots. Now, what I did was I cut these out, like I mentioned, using the Designer Series paper and the dies. But then I also cut out a coordinating backing, because when I open my card, I don't want the back half of this to not look clean and neat. So what I did was I cut out this little bucket in Just Jade to coordinate with that, this one out of Cinnamon Cider, and this one out of Evening Evergreen. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn this over, and I'm going to put a little bit of adhesive, and then I'm going to attach my flowers, my foliage. And this foliage, again, came from that same Forever Flourishing die. Okay, so I'm going to add that there. And then I'm going to use this backing to give my vase a finished look, okay? Because if I didn't, this is what you'd see in the back of the card, and I don't like that. I want it to be finished nice. Okay, it's the little things that make it look special. Then I'm going to do the same with my terracotta pot, and I have a we decided that that was a succulent. So I'm gonna just fix this a little bit. Okay, so I'm gonna put a little bit of adhesive on the back of my terracotta pot. I'm going to attach my succulent, and then I'm going to attach the die cut of the pot. Okay. Okay, and there's that pot. Now the last one, I have these two little, they're cut out in cinnamon cider, and there again, those are from the Forever Flourishing dies. And I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put these in the back of that pot. And then I'm going to attach this pot to the little Just Jade solid color pot. Okay, so now I have nice finished backs to my pot. And now all I have to do is attach them to the inside of my card. I'm going to attach my terracotta pot first in the center. And again, you don't want to put adhesive all the way to the top because then you'll end up closing your card shut. So I'm going to take that and just do the bottom part of the pot. And I'm going to put that in the front here, in the middle. And then I'm going to do the same with my evening evergreen. And again, I'm not going to put a whole bunch of adhesive because I don't want it to stick to the top part of my card. And I'm going to overlap it just a tad right here. And finally, I'm going to do the same thing with my Just Jade pot. And I'm going to overlap that one right here as well. And there is our beautiful pop-up card. Thank you. A little note with the biggest thanks. And there is a side view of that little box mechanism. And it's a great little pop-up card. I love this. This was my favorite of the three. And here it is with the two different background papers. If you have any questions at all about this project or any of the products I used, please contact me through my blog, www.stampwithanna.blogspot.com. And if you do not have a demonstrator with whom you work, certainly let me know and I'll be glad to send you out a current catalog. While you're here, if you did enjoy this video, I'd love it if you'd give me a thumbs up, and subscribe to my channel. Thanks so much, and I'll catch you back here later for another video.